next video, I'm going to go over with some more details on the 5-star units available in the game. I've set them up in order from what I believe to be the least useful to the most useful. Granted, at the end of the day, these are my opinions. If you like the character's design or looks, go for it. I am also sick, so I do apologize if throughout the video I do make a quick cough, but that's the nature of being sick. And also at the end of the video, I also would like to discuss about possible future updates that the game will see. Without further ado, let's begin. So the very first unit on the list here is Loki Doe. He's a neutral attacker, uses the fist weapons, which is blunt type. While he does have the highest attack in the game for a damage dealer, he is handicapped by his neutral nature, which doesn't let him capitalize on weaknesses of certain enemy types. His Valor chant is debuffs enemy physical tolerance and strength by 20% at max level. This basically allows him to reduce enemy attacks if they're physical, which is great in my opinion. He has a few earth-based skills, and one noticeable one is called Yasha Demonic Fist. Deals moderate damage, lowers enemy's blunt tolerance, and stuns the enemy. So if you're going up against a really tough unit, like a horror in the game, it could be a life-saving skill. But with that said, he does have the lowest mana pool, which makes him really need to manage his mana. So anyways, that's him for now. Next up we have Suzette, the gothic chick with drills lancer. That's the highest second attack in the game. She is wind type, beating out Loki Doe. Valor chant, she buffs the entire team strength and intellect by 30% at max level, which is really great. Unfortunately, her skill set doesn't have too many debuff options built in, therefore hindering some versatility in her. I say that because a lot of 5-star units tend to have either buffs or debuff added on to their skill sets. She does have a skill called Spears of the Makai, which applies poison to multiple enemies, which is great against high HP targets, and she does need a little bit of mana management. Suzette owners, don't fret. She is actually going to be the first unit in line to get another style, which allows her to become a unit that is going to be one of the top tier units for a wind single target nuker in the game. So look forward to that, Suzette owners. Next, from here on out, I would consider these more quote-unquote future-proof 5 stars. We have Xion. He's basically a high single target fire attacker that is a boss killer. His Valor chant, lowers enemy strength and sword resistance, and a lot of his skills does have built-in attributes such as lowering the enemy resistance to fire, letting him do more damage, and also lowering their physical attacks. So he also has a pretty nice mana pool that allows him to spam his skills a little bit more than others. Next we have Tuva. And while mages are OP in their own rights in 1.0, do note that they are mostly hindered by the elemental resistant type enemies, because if they can't do a lot of damage with their magic, they sure as heck can't do a lot of damage with their normal attacks. However, when they're allowed to shine, they are by far the highest damage dealing classes in the game. With that said, Tuva's Valor chant lowers enemy resistance to earth attacks by 30%. They all usually have high spirits, which allows them to reduce the magic damage taken, and her skill, Devil Deal, is her bread and butter. She loses 30% of her maximum HP skill, but she gains a 70% self-intellect buff for 1 turn. You cup this up with another force activation, and she's able to spam out ridiculous damage output during the use of another force, because she's able to use any skills with a 70% damage increase essentially for however times you can spam the skill. Next we have Mighty. So his Valor call, or chant, sorry, is minus 30% water tolerance debuff to all the enemies. He is the slowest 5-star unit in the list, but he does a crap ton of damage, and he also provides utility. His Nightmare gives single high target damage attack that also has a chance to sleep for each attack. It's a 2-hitter attack with double the chance to inflict the sleep on the target unit, so perfect against units like Horrors where you can bypass one of their attacks. He does have supportive skills like Aqua Wall, which gains 50% attribute tolerance and 15% physical attribute tolerance for all his allies. And he has one of the highest mana pools in the game, allowing him to spam a lot of water skills, but some of the skills like Nightmare Gifts do cost a lot, but usually it's very manageable. And finally, we have Mario, the best healer in the game in 1.0, and she's going to be the best healer in the game in 2.0 as well in Japan right now. Has one of the highest speeds, if not right now the highest speed in the game. That basically lets her usually go first. Valor Chance increases the total attribute tolerance by 35% for everyone. Has a very high mana pool so that she could spam buffs and heals. She can also provide 15% speed buff for the entire party. High Spirit to reduce magic damage taken. And she does have a Holy Burst skill that allows her to do massive amounts of damage. This is to compensate for her low attack, even though she has godly heals already. And finally, she does have a skill called Aurora Force that lets her buff the attributes of her entire team by 50% maxed. It's maxed. Anyways, what kind of things you can look forward to in the near future for another Eden Global? We're probably going to get a Gaiden, which is basically a trial for this swordswoman called Azami. She's going to be one of the best free to obtain units that's wind based, beating out Suzette in terms of damage easily. Going to be a very hard trial, but those that devoted themselves to the game will be rewarded with one of the best wind attackers for free. Another unit from Banner would be Annabelle. She's basically a swordswoman maiden, water type. You know, she pretty much gives a Jeanne d'Arc arterial vibe. She can provoke, heal, and use a lot of different water offensive based skills, including also defensive too. But if we do get Yuna, that's a unit that I would highly suggest going for. She's by far the best supporter in the game. She can buff, debuff. She has a very spammable AoE poison, and she has a skill that's a cleanse with a built-in healing over time. She's basically stacked. But anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys want, please join the Discord community that I'm running. We have many people come in. They're asking questions and commuting and sharing their love for the game. So if you guys do like the game, feel free to drop by. If anything, I'll try to answer any comments that you guys have. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Peace.